Well, we're going to talk about reading the Bible, but before that, we want to talk about how do you choose the right version of the Bible to read. Some of you don't know that it's not just the Bible, but there's actually dozens and dozens of translations of the Bible. So Jared, could you walk us through just a few of the most common translations to help people say, that sounds like a good fit for me, or that sounds like a good fit?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And so, maybe if you had a Bible handed down to you from your parents or your grandparents or something, maybe it's what's called a King James Bible. And so these are Bibles that were first translated in about 1611 and that have very, very formal sort of Old English kind of language. Some people who love the King James Version love it because of that sort of flowery language. One of the challenges, though, is that since 1611, a lot has happened in terms of Bible scholarship.
A lot.
Yeah.
And in terms of the entire world, right?
Yeah, I mean, things like the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls,
Yeah.
which
and
are
the internet.
Yeah, and the internet, that's right. But the process of translating the Bible has come a long way. And so today, the best Bible translations are Bibles that are done by large committees of scholars rather than just individuals. And so one of the more recent translations, which we're going to talk about sort of the spectrum of translations a little bit later on, in that some are word for word and some are thought for thought. A very, very new Bible that's on the thought for thought end of the spectrum is what's called the Passion Translation. I'm not a big fan of it because it takes a lot of liberties with the original text and it's translated by one guy.
Okay.
And so I think the best translations are those like the New International Version or the NIV Bible, the ESV or the English Standard Version, the New American Standard Bible, because these were done by committees of scholars. And that's important because no one person is an expert on every aspect of the Bible.
Yeah, and I love those because I can actually understand them. Like
Right.
I have a lot of training in reading the Bible and understanding it, but when I look at the King James, I actually get confused sometimes, and I'm like, I don't actually know what that's saying.
Yeah,
so,
with all the these and the thous and the therefores, and it gets to be a lot.
Yes.
And that's the issue with a lot of these older translations, is that we just don't talk like that anymore. And so if you're looking for a translation that's very much in sort of modern language, easy to read, I would recommend either the NIV, New International Version that we just talked about, or the New Living Translation, which is a little bit more of a sort of getting into the paraphrase end of the spectrum, but it's still a very good translation.
Well, now that we know some good translations, in the next video, we're going to talk about what do you need to know before you start reading the Bible.